Today I'm going to show you how to make these awesome and inexpensive outdoor Easter decor. Now I made giant Easter peeps and a giant Easter egg. These are two individual projects which I'm going to show you both in this film, so let's get into it. So we're going to start with unfaced polystyrene board, which is sold for $10 for a 6-pack. We're going to need all 6. I'm using the 3/4 of an inch board. The boards are about 14 inches wide by 4 feet long. I freehanded my design on the board using a Google image as a reference. You can pick any image you want and just use that as your reference. Now use a utility knife to cut out the shape. This process should be very simple since it's like cutting through butter. Once you're done cutting, the edges are going to be rough and jagged. This can be resolved by sanding them down with another piece of board. As you can see, I'm using a piece of the board I just cut to sand the edges and make them soft. Now I'm going to draw on the eyes right now before I paint it, so I know exactly where they're going to go. I'm using a circular object along with a marker to place the eyes where I want them. Again, this is simply for reference and you can skip this part, but I just want to know where my eyes are going to go before I paint them. So for this part, we're going to need paint roller cover sets, mini paint rollers, paint samples, of course our marker, and our circular item to draw on the eyes. Totally optional though. Since I'm painting 6 different bunny peeps today, I'm going to be using a couple of different colors, starting with this one right here. Since I'm using paint samples, it's super simple for me to just pour the paint onto the bunny versus getting it onto a tray and using it that way. Now for the sugary details. We need to use diamond dust glitter or iridescent glitter to give it that nice sugary coating. It's imperative that you apply the glitter as soon as you finish painting while the paint is still wet so that the glitter sticks to the paint. To give it the best sparkle and wow factor, I recommend using glitter labeled as diamond dust or iridescent. Don't use regular glitter for this step. Here's a fun fact. Peeps marshmallows were first introduced in 1953 by a candy company called Just Born. The company was founded by Sam Born, a Russian immigrant that started the company in 1923. Because I want my bunny peeps to be standing outside in the yard, I'm gonna have to attach them to something, and I'll be using PVC pipe for that. In my other videos on my account, you can see how easily I attach items to PVC pipe. By the time I finished painting the bunny peeps, I realized that I didn't like how the eyes and mouth looked, so I ended up painting over them and just drawing them myself. Apply hot glue to the back of your bunny peep, then put your 2-hole strap onto the glue. Then after it's dry, you can put it over a PVC pipe in your yard. And this is what they should look like once you're done. So for our giant egg, we're going to need Elmers Glue, giant balloons, a mixing container, newspaper and latex gloves, as well as a mixing spoon or a drill with a mixing bit, and a box, because this is going to get messy. We need to blow up the balloon, and it needs to get to a size of 36 inches, which is 3 feet. So let's get ready for our paper-mache. We're going to cut our newspaper in halves and in thirds to make little strips. Cut up a good amount of strips and then put them to the side so we can begin mixing our glue. Next, I'm going to be mixing Elmer's glue and water to make our glue paste that we're going to apply on the balloon. Online, you'll find different directions on how to make this, but I'm just using more glue than I am water and basically winging it until I get the right consistency. Next, I'm going to dip the newspaper strips into the glue and water mixture, and I'm going to put them onto the balloon in an up and down fashion. Paper-mache tends to always be super messy when I'm doing it, that's why I have the box underneath. But later on in this video, you're going to see how I attach a string to the balloon to help me hold it upright. All the materials, supplies, and paints that I'm using here can be found in the bio below. So this is what it should look like once you're done with the paper-mache project. This is 3 coats of paper-mache. Each coat took about 24 hours of drying time, so this egg took me 3 days to make. It might sound daunting, but it's really easy. It takes me 30 minutes to do a paper-mache coat, let it dry for a day, and then repeat it for 2 more days. Once we're done, we can paint it or we can sand it. I'm just going to paint it right away to get right into it. But if it's bumpy or if there's ridges that need to be flattened down, we can sand it lightly with a sandpaper. But we're just going to go ahead and paint it right now and get our egg ready. I'm going to be painting my egg white with exterior paint, only because I'm placing this egg outside. And in those elements, I need to waterproof it as best as possible. I tied the balloon with a string to help me keep it upright. This made the painting process so much simpler. Previously, I had said that I wasn't going to sand my egg, but I changed my mind halfway through it and decided that I wanted a hard, smooth surface at the end. To achieve that, I'm going to be using joint compound mix and a putty knife. Because I want my egg to have a hard, smooth surface, I'm putting joint compound throughout the egg to fill in the ridges, cracks, and any uneven surfaces. Later, once it's dry, I'm going to sand this smooth. This step wasn't originally part of my plan, but I've had much success with using joint compound to make things smoother and keep them outside, so that's why I decided to go with this route. A little extra work, but I think it's going to come out much nicer. And this is what it should look like after it's done drying. To smooth out any bumps or ridges, I'm using a wet sponge to go over the entire egg. To make a nest for it, we're using expanding foam and Easter grass. Just apply the Easter grass on top of the wet expanding foam. Let it dry and we're all finished.